coming to you right now to share and impart a message that I believe the Ruach is speaking in this hour. I believe that I've been appointed as a watcher for my people and for those who are following the Most High and those who are seeking the truth in this very, very troubling hour. The reason I was prompted to come and speak with everyone at this point is because I saw something earlier today that kind of caught my attention, and it really does speak to the events that are unfolding in the world right now that we just got to talk about. I mean, if you're really trying to see what's going on and you really want to know what the situation is, and you're interested in just trying to piece together the scenarios that we're seeing unfold very quickly and very frequently, then this is a message for you. Now, for those who still have their head in the sand and you're wondering, more about what's going on with your favorite sports team or, the latest celebrity gossip, just keep it pushing because this is not even on your frequency right now. As I said, what prompted me to get on today was I saw something that was very alarming to me, and I wanted to impart at least what I see and what has been somewhat confirmed by someone that I find to be a little bit more knowledgeable on the matter. And this is basically, I have a on my phone an app called an earthquake tracker, and on that earthquake tracker, it doesn't just track the earthquakes and volcanoes. It monitors a lot of information and data that helps me sort of understand the energy that's going in the earth and things like that. So what I want to show you is this is a picture right now of the earthquake tracker menu, and when I checked it earlier today, I was very, very, very alarmed. And I'm not trying to get anybody to get whipped up into a frenzy, but because of the patterns that I've been able to track and monitor, one of the purposes that the earthquake tracker serves is it helps to sort of review information that has to do with the sun and its energy, the Schumann resonance, a lot of data about solar wind. And so solar wind is basically a predictor of geomagnetic storms. And those are important because that helps to sort of track the stability of the planet. And I'm gonna try not to get technical because I'm not all that adept at speaking about it myself, but I know it well enough to be able to carry on a reasonable conversation. So let's just leave it like that. But solar winds, when they hit the earth, they cause instability, and that is what sort of tracks the earthquakes, the volcanic eruptions, and things of that nature. We saw today that Mount Etna is erupting again. And there's just a lot of things going on, and I'm not somebody that just sits and watches this all day every day, but I do know it well enough, like I said, just to be fluent in a conversation. And some of the things that I've observed have been confirmed, so I'm just trying to impart it the best way that I can. The reason I was alarmed today is because I noticed that there was a geomagnetic storm that was hitting the earth. And when I saw that, and you can see it here in the red bar, that's a geomagnetic storm. It indicates a very high reading of the KP index, and the KP index is simply it's almost like taking the planet's heart rate. It measures the amount of energy that's flowing or pulsing through the planet. And so if it's at 0, 1, 2, that means it's, there's not a lot of energy going through it. Well, when it gets into the yellows and the reds, that indicates that we're having a geomagnetic storm, which of course eventually leads to disruption of planetary volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, all of these things. They move in direct conjunction with the amount of energy that's hitting it. So, generally speaking, when a geomagnetic storm hits, you are able to forecast it based on this data that you're seeing on the screen right now. The Earth is basically sitting in front of this spinning hot ball of gas, and depending on what happens on that spinning hot ball of gas called the sun, you can expect that when certain parts of the sun is facing the earth and the earth is facing that part of the sun, there's going to be some level of energy absorbed on that part of the earth. And so what I'm seeing here now is there are these dark spots that are called coronal holes, and generally you would expect to see a steady flow of solar wind coming from that. And then the really, really bright spots on the sun are known as solar storms, solar flares, and they eject plasma. And that plasma is, my understanding, is a bit denser, or it is denser than the solar wind, and different situation. And once you start seeing these really bright flares, solar storms facing Earth, that's when it gets extremely concerning for a lot of people who understand solar energy and solar storms, that's something that has to be very closely watched. So you can tell based on the direction of these coronal holes or solar flares on the sun, solar storms, you can tell about when they're going to be, when that energy is going to hit Earth, and so you're able to forecast based on the direction that you see facing the sun or facing the Earth at any given time. That's all I'm going to say about that. What surprised me today is that when I checked the form, I checked the earthquake tracker, which I check that a few times a day. And when I was looking at this particular piece of information, I noticed that we were in a solar storm. We were in a geomagnetic storm, I should say. And no one, it took everyone by surprise. No one was able to forecast that. And that's unusual. And it's concerning. And a bit alarming. So when I saw it, I kind of exclaimed, I'm like, oh my gosh, we're in a G1 magnetic storm. Like, where'd that come from? And I just put it down. I put it away and went on about my day. Uh, Later on, I came across a video that was being done by a gentleman, and he seemed to confirm the same exact things that I observed on the earthquake tracker earlier. And so, in light of that, I wanted to just give everyone that I could a heads up that things are beginning to truly ramp up, and we need to be on high alert concerning these events. Now, one of the things that I'm going to shift gears here now. I'm done with the geomagnetic storm, alarming and surprising storm that happened today. Or I should say yesterday. It's after midnight where I'm at now. So on May 20th, 2021, that was the day that we noticed that there was these events happening with the sun. But moving on to the weather now, which I have been where I'm located at. I'm in South Texas. Where I'm located at, the weather has been extremely unsettled, to say the least. I can't recall a time when, in my history as a Texan, and I've lived most of my life in Southeast Texas. I now live in South Texas, and the climate's not that much different. It's just a little bit more humid in Southeast Texas because of the Gulf, and I do live not far from the Gulf right now in South Texas. I live just southwest of Corpus Christi, so this is a very dry area in South Texas, generally speaking. As a matter of fact, over the last couple of years in South Texas, I've noticed that the rain has been very sparse, but as of the last few weeks, the rain has been extremely heavy. The climate here has completely shifted. This area has been either teetering on drought or just barely into the drought conditions for a couple of years now. Like I said, since I've been here, didn't get very much rain in 2019. Didn't see a lot of rain in 2020. Like I said, earth was off. I was gardening a lot last year, and the earth was rather parched. Had to keep watering, lost plants because it was just so dry, and it was extremely arid, and it just wasn't conducive to growing plants. It was just very, very hot, and you had to just stay on top of your plants because they would shrivel, and I lost some plants because I lost some okra and that dried up, tomatoes. Some things they were drying up on the vine. It was so dry. So I was very, very, very keenly aware of the weather conditions. At this point in the year, the rain has been very, very heavy in Texas. Not necessarily where I'm at, but we literally experienced somewhat of a monsoon rain over the past couple of days, to the point where my house was getting inundated with water. Not flooded, but there were parts of the house that took on some water, and it receded quickly afterwards, and it was not inside the house. It was areas that were actually outside the house, outside living areas. So it wasn't in a situation where the house was overwhelmed with water, but I was getting concerned. And so I was just very, very unsettled by what I saw with the flooding. There were other towns around us that were underwater. There were towns east of here, large cities. Houston took on a lot of water, and we do know that Lake Charles took on a lot of water. So, in addition to the rain that we've seen, we've had some storm. We had a really bad storm come through last week, and that storm actually that was the first round of significant storming that we had seen since moving to this area. And there was a young man who had come by to see one of my daughters, gave her a ride to the store, and he was heading back home, and he was so concerned about the weather, he turned around and asked if he could, like, hunker down here because he was concerned about the storms. And we allowed him to take shelter in our house and ride it out. And I can tell you that while he was here, thankfully the Father used me to impart some truth and extend some wisdom over his life, and I hope that those words take root and this young man is able to start to see that there are some things happening. But he was not a believer per se. He just had beliefs and hadn't sorted them out, and hopefully the Father is going to move in his life. I continue to pray that he will. But what I noticed in the storm while he was here, not only were we getting inundated with rain, and I do believe some hail even fell, what I'm noticing is this atmospheric change in the air during the storms. They are extremely, like I said, I grew up in Texas, and these storms are nothing like I have ever experienced in my life in this part of the country before. There's an energy in the storms. I don't want to spook anybody out and all of that, but I'm telling you, there's an energy in the storm that is unlike what I have ever experienced. I consider myself to be an empath, and so I pick up energy very easily. I'm very sensitive to energy, and when I tell you that these storms just didn't feel the same, and for lack of a better way of putting it, there's an entity in the storm. Not one that I fear, not one that I'm afraid of, because I feel protected and covered by the Most High at all times. But I'm telling you all, they're just, the thunder sounds different. The wind is blowing differently. The lightning is extremely intense. And so all of these different elements of the storm are just coming together in such a way that you sense a presence in the storm. You sense something is just going beyond, well, this is a front coming through and passing over. It's not that. It's something that is literally charging the atmosphere and continuing to just linger in the atmosphere. And for those who are not picking up on that, it's taking a lot of people by surprise. It's not really taking me by surprise. I'm watching the weather. I'm watching how storms are moving in. I'm seeing on radar where it's telling you it's going to be this percent of rain. And then the next thing you know, it doesn't rain. Or it'll tell you there's no percent of rain, and the next thing you know, it's storming for an hour or two at a time. It's just really, really strange. And it's impossible at this point for these forecasters to even be able to tell you the weather anymore, because they just don't know. They just don't know. And so I'm doing my best to just impart what I can. Like I said, I'm not an expert, but I know that there are things that are happening that people just need to be aware of, because it's not what we think. And everyone gets hit by these storms, and then it just, okay, we're going to go back to normal and, resume your life. And I believe in this hour that the Father is trying to get our attention with these storms. I know He is. I know He is. But for whatever reason, we all feel like, oh, it's just a storm. It's just this. It's just that. And it's not. It's not. It's not. It's not. It's really not. This message is for people that understand something is going on, but the people who just want to keep going back to normal, if you hear this, if you've even gotten this far into the message, you are completely in denial about what is happening. And we're taking a lot of this and just filing it away in the archives of our minds, and we're not using this information and these signs and these wonders that are in the skies, in the atmosphere, to help us understand what is going on. In a few days, 5 days from now, we're going to be experiencing a super blood moon lunar eclipse that is going to be visible over the United States. This is not just another event. People take these things as an ooh-ah moment, but these are signs. They are wonders. They are prophetic unveilings. They are apocalyptic. Apocalyptic does not mean what the media and propaganda has told you it means. It simply means revelation, a revealing. There's a revealing of events and things that are happening that we just seem to just kind of brush right past, and it's not serving us any purpose to keep ignoring these events. They are there for us to know what time it is, where we are in this historical moment in time. these prophecies that we have read about, which people are all of a sudden now starting to wake up to, they are real. They are real. And one in particular I want to talk about is the sign and wonder that appeared in the sky on September 23rd, 2017. And we saw the event of the Revelation 12 verse 1 and 2 sign, which a lot of people mistakenly translated to mean that, oh, the world was going to end that day. And I had to remind a lot of people. I was on social media even heavier than I am today, and had to remind people, like, well, this is a sign. This is not the event. This is the sign of the event to come. And for those who are not familiar, Revelations 12, verse 1 and 2 says, "And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. And she, being with child, cried, travailing in birth and pained to be delivered." Now, that's a whole other video right there. But let's just keep it simple. That event happened on September 23rd, 2017, and it, as you can see at the top of this particular graphic, it is a once in a 7,000 year event. It has never happened in the history of mankind, and it is now reflected as described in the scripture. There is no other sign or wonder that has ever appeared in scripture that fits this event. So I just want for people to just look, do your own research. If you haven't gotten up to speed at this point on what's happening in the world, there's no amount of information that's gonna help you at this point. But if you haven't cared to figure it out or search deeper, you're just not getting it. And I don't take any joy in saying that I'm not acting better than anyone, because I know something that someone else doesn't, because I assure you there's a lot of people out there that know a whole lot more than me. I'm imparting what I have because this is the piece of the puzzle I've got, and if it helps someone, then hopefully, this is going to be an addition to something you can share. This is going to be an ingredient to a bigger cookie or bigger pie. I don't know, but this is something that we all need to sit up and pay attention to, because the world is in a very desperate situation. We know by the things that are unfolding in Israel right now, of course, that is very concerning to me, and I take those events very seriously as well. And it's all aligning in the same fashion. Prophetically, we're seeing these events align with the signs and wonders. We're seeing the weather patterns shift significantly. We're seeing fireballs and meteors, meteorites, I don't know what you call them, in the sky and the sun and around the sun. We have the government now basically being extremely forthcoming with disclosure about unidentified flying objects. So there's a lot of information that's coming at us in a very short period of time. At the same time, we continue to be inundated with other news that is designed to cause alarm and shock and awe and dismay and fear and all of those things. But where we are right now, there's no reason to be afraid. That's why I say I don't come to alarm anyone. I come to inform. And how you react to the information is directly related to who you have your trust in. If you're trusting in the Most High, guess what? None of this is alarming to you. But if you are trusting in your oppressor and you're trusting in the information they're giving you and all of the alarm and all of that, hey, you're going to find this very, very fearful. And that's why a lot of people turn away from it, because they know that they haven't trusted in the Father to keep them. I've been through several major catastrophes, weather catastrophes, and I've been kept through every one of them. So I'm just not afraid. I went through Harvey, which hit Houston, Texas about, I think, 4 or 5 days after the solar eclipse on August 21st of 2017. Harvey hit Houston on August 25th. Before Harvey arrived, we were prepared in my family. Unlike a lot of other Houstonians and Southeast Texans, just didn't give Harvey the respect that it deserved, and a lot of people were destroyed. I've heard multiple stories of the deaths, unfortunate and very sad and tragic deaths of people who lost their lives in Hurricane Harvey. This year we came through the Arctic blast that hit as far south as Mexico and caused a lot of people to lose power in Texas because the power grid was unable to assist. I know a lot of people heard about that. We were 2 days without power, and the Father kept us. He blessed us, and He favored us during that time with some very considerate and kind neighbors that checked in on us and helped us out with getting a way to cook food, heat water. It was a miserable 2 days, and I know some people went even longer than that, but it was very, very hard that during that particular time. But He saw us through, so that's what matters. And then most recently, with the heavy rains, like I said, we got inundated with the water, but Todaya, there was not any major damage done. God just he just is who he is, and like he says, he's true to his word. He will take care of his own, and he did. So I'm standing still on the promises of the Most High, and I want to encourage those of you who are concerned, who are looking at the events unfolding as they are. Please do not allow fear to grip you. A lot of people are missing the information. We're continuing to see those who would prefer talking about distracting things like, well, we know. I don't even want to get into naming the examples, because we know there's all these conversations that really don't align with what's happening prophetically. Let's just leave it at that. People know that there are things that are happening prophetically with regards to the weather, with regards to the sun and signs and wonders in the sky, and things that are happening around Israel and Palestine. And so those conversations are the ones we should really, 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 really be focusing on. But yet we're losing sight, and we're continuing to just fall out with the latest gossip and all of that. So I just hope that this is a help to those who are out there. I know that I'm not the best at speaking, but I do want to do what I can to share this information and impart it to those who have an ear to hear. We are very, very close, and if you don't have your faith and trust in the Most High right now, I seriously suggest that you do, because there is not much time left. Whether or not you believe that is not even, I'm not here to make anybody believe anything, no more than your weatherman coming on TV telling you that there's a tornado coming. You can believe it or not believe it. But if you don't go get in your safe space when you've been warned that there's a tornado on the way, and that tornado comes and rips up your house and carries you away with it, that's your fault if you didn't take shelter. So people need to get away from this idea that just because somebody's imparting information or sharing their knowledge and wisdom, that they're trying to force you to believe what they believe. No, 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 no. I'm here to impart what I know based on what the Ruach has imparted to me. And if I'm wrong, you can correct me. You can say, you know what? You were all wrong about this. I'll be corrected. But for now, I'm saying what I believe the Ruach has instructed me to say. And if it is wrong, then I'll be chastised. But guess what? I'm not out here trying to put myself on the line with the Most High and anger him because I'm trying to feed false information to his people. That is not my goal. There's a lot going on, and there's a lot more I could say, but I'd be here all day and all night trying to tell everybody the things that I've seen over the years. All I can do right now, because of the time that we're in and the time being short, just warn you and just stay prepared. Not prepared the way the world thinks you should prepare, because that can really blow up in your face. A lot of people thought they were prepared for a lot of things, and they turned out not to be prepared at all. So any preparations that I can make. If they don't go, if I should say, if they go any further than our daily bread, then that ain't even, because I know how the Father works. If He needs me to have transportation at a certain time, He's gonna send it. If He needs me to have food, water, clothes, shelter, whatever it is at that moment, for whatever reason, to whatever extent that I need it, it will be provided. And if you trust Him that way, you know already that's how Abba works. There is no amount of preparation. Now, yes, I'm not telling people don't prepare. There's things that we should all do, and He has prepared me. When, like I said, when Harvey hit, we weren't standing in long lines searching for food and being allowed in the store 5 at a time or whatever, and limited water. We went and got the water before the water was snatched up. We went and got the food before the food was snatched up. We were fine. Before the coronavirus panic buying hit last year, we were already set up with our food and seeds and water and things like that. We were all good. We were good to go because the Father kept us, warned us, protected and provided. And He will do the same for you. You will not be in a desperate situation as others are if you're trusting in Him. So family, this is like I said, I didn't want to stay on too long, but I really wanted to impart this as quickly as I could. Hopefully this helps someone to go and look deeper, search deeper, pray harder, trust deeper in the Father. He's got us. So, y'all take care. I'll be praying for you. Hopefully you're praying for me. And I will be back hopefully very soon, as y'all wills, with another message on the rapture. I know that's going to be kind of interesting. The rapture. It's not the rapture that most people are thinking about. It's the rapture that the Bible speaks of. Not the we're all floating up in the sky to go meet white Jesus in the air. That's not the rapture. That's not the rapture. I believe I know, finally, through a very powerful revelation that I got earlier today when I was talking with my daughter, what this actually means. So, as Yah wills, as the Ruach wills, I pray that I will be given the opportunity to speak about not the rapture per se, but the catching away. Harpazo, catching away. And that's a completely different situation or scenario. But I'm going to end it here. I'm going to be praying for my family, those who trust in the name of the Most High, whoever you are, wherever you are, near, far. Just don't stop trusting in Him, because He's ready to do a great and major work in the earth and in you, if you let Him. All praises to the Most High Yah. All glory to our Father, our Heavenly Father. He is great and greatly to be praised. And also want to honor our earthly mother, the Ruach HaKodesh, and our soon and coming King, Yehoshua HaMashiach. To all of those out there, stay blessed. I love you.